So let's begin our lighting breakdown of the thriller-esque scene you've watched a while ago using only 2 lights. But before that, let me first show you this soft lighting setup I have with me right now. First, for our key light, I have a GoBo SL60W with a softbox positioned diagonally, and add to that, I placed a soft diffusion, a second diffusion, to make my shadows in the face softer using a cloth and a stand. For our practical light, I placed a light bulb, orange light bulb, underneath a lamp. Then I used 2 icons as motivated light. As you can see, one of it, positioned up there, is forming this rim light in my hair. I have another one in the floor, which just gives a little bit more of the ambient light needed for the cabinet in the back to pop out. Then I also used another icon light, now with a blue filter, just to give this sort of orange and teal, orange and blue look. I also have this light. It's kind of like a motivated light and also a rim light, motivating the blue background, and also giving me this secondary rim light in my other side, just so that I pop out in the background more. Lastly, I have a reflector here in my side to bounce some of the light in my far side area of the face. Now, this is how it looks. What is Rembrandt lighting? Well, it is more common than you think. It is commonly known with its one very popular element, which is the triangle it forms in the face of the subject. Basic Rembrandt lighting is done by placing your key light, in my case, this light, placing it in a 45-degree angle relative to your subject's position in the frame. After you do that, you place the light above eye level at around 30 to 45 degrees. It can vary depending on how much shadows you want to show in the far side area of your subject's face. In this scene, I actually broke that rule a bit. I placed my key light somehow in between 45 and 90 degrees because I wanted to have more variety with the lighting. If you can see these 2 frames, one shows somehow a side lighting technique while the other shows a Rembrandt technique. By positioning my light in this place, I got to have 2 different lighting techniques at the same time occurring depending on how my actor positions her face in the camera. I also added a supplementary portable light in the floor to give light to the bottles, and in this frame to add somehow a faded light so that my actor's face can still be seen despite the heaviness of the shadows in the frame. The sky is the limit when it comes to lighting your subjects. You can use anything improvised, such as light bulbs and the like, to attain a cinematic and dramatic look for your scene. I purposefully used Rembrandt and side lighting to add intentional mystery to our characters. Then, consequently, as the film progresses, it adds up to the dread of the unknown. The best way to do that is to take advantage of shadows. Really, shadows are an integral part of every lighting setup. Shadows are present in a frame to obscure what we see, amplifying the emotions of uncertainty, fear, dread, because of the unknown. People are wired to be able to recognize things the moment they look at them. But with shadows, what it does is aside from adding a dramatic and moody look, it takes away certain elements in a frame that will make the audience question, who is this character? What is that dark place underneath the frame? Shadows do this, and that is the important role it plays both in Rembrandt lighting and GoBo lighting. GoBo lighting is achieved by placing any object in front of a key light source. Not necessarily actually a key light source, any light source. Basically, it's placing an object with a shape. I mean, all objects have shapes. In front of a light, you play with the shadows and the light it forms in a wall or in any surface. If you are more into the creative side and you want to have full control on the shadows, the look of the shadows and the light, you can use stencils and place them in front of a light in order to form these shapes. For our first GoBo setup, I pointed my Godox light directly towards these vertical structure designs I discovered in my living room. Actually, this was an accidental discovery as I was wrapping up and fixing my gear when I saw these lights forming these really solid looking designs in the wall, making the overall scene in the end all the more dramatic. For my second setup, I took advantage of the square glass panes from the entrance door and the grill-like structures in the adjacent wall. I used an icon with an orange filter as a motivated type of light, pointing from an angle towards the square glass panes. The positioning of the light formed these beautiful shadows which served for me and for the scene as leading lines that directed the attention of the audience towards my character. Then, for a supplementary light, I positioned my Godox light outside the grill-like structures in the adjacent wall to act as a supplementary moonlight, giving a nice color contrast for the overall scene. Now, the final GoBo setup is actually the easiest, because from the same position of my Godox light in the first scene, I pointed it from an angle towards these grill structures above our staircase. Then, for an added touch, I used an improvised flag to cut off some of the spillover light and also darken the shadows produced by the grill structures. Because of these shadows, an otherwise blank wall becomes both interesting to look at and purposive for the scene. And that is it for our lighting breakdown for Rembrandt lighting and GoBo lighting. Again, sky is the limit when it comes to lighting a scene. There is no set rule for these lighting techniques. Just have a set purpose. All you have to do is to explore, experiment, have fun. In the end, what matters is that your purpose will be achieved with the way you position your lights and your camera. Till we see again. Till next time.